from. If it does, if the cat gets out of the bag, as you rightly said, Alex, if it's just straightforward embezzlement, or it's fraud, or it's or it's adultery, anything goes in politics these days. But this is something you can't bounce back from. So if it's paedophilia, it's very, very difficult to get out of. So it's a huge blackmail hole over people. But of course, the other problem that we have is that these blasphemy laws and the laws that all go with this are only one-sided. And so it's only one section of the community that suffers from these sort of things, and it's the indigenous population. And this is what is making people so angry. You can criticize Christianity as much as you like, but if you criticize Islam, you go to prison.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Joining us for this segment, the next segment, and part of the next, we played a statement earlier from a few days ago, is Godfrey Bloom, military historian, former fiery member of the EU Parliament who helped get Brexit through. Now that we know more about Tommy, because there was a news blackout, now that you've had a chance to look at this, what do you make of it, Mr. Bloom?
This, of course, we need to go back. We're talking about, the last few days, but we actually need to go back to the administration of Tony Blair in 1997. This is when the Constitution, the British Constitution, was allowed deliberately to deteriorate. So this kind of behavior by government, they could get away with this. So what they did, they destroyed the House of Lords. They reformed the House of Lords to pack it with their own people, with their own lords who were people who were put there by Tony Blair because they were political cronies. So they're the people there. So we have a House of Lords which is corrupted. So we have a law which is corrupted. We have a judiciary which is now part of the political system. We have a Crown Prosecution Service which was politicized by Tony Blair, and the prosecution service was taken away from the police, where the police would prosecute somebody if they felt it was right and proper. Put in hands of the Crown Prosecution Service, which is a political entity now. So this is, they were laying the ground for being able to make a political arrest, which of course is going completely against our Constitution.
They've now established commissars, and I remember at the time covering the constitutional change and people warning this would happen. It has now happened, but now there's pushback, and you know of many other political prisoners, not just Tommy Robinson, that we'll talk about with Godfrey Bloom, journalist, historian, former member of the EU Parliament, and one of the main engineers of the Brexit. Can follow him at Twitter. We have that on screen for everybody that would like to be able to follow him. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com, Newswars.com. Please stay with us. Yeah, putting on our little fight against the globalists, but they now recognize that, so they pulled out all the stops and are trying to shut down Infowars. They have had the FBI talk with 13 people, including Army officers, you name it. And the questioning now centers around a U.S. coup to steal the election from Hillary. They're now breaking away from Russia, and they're trying to claim that I am at the center of it. That's how insane this has gotten. This is a conspiracy of wanting freedom and being open about it and promoting it. So in Europe, in England, and all over, they're adopting Chinese-style oppression, secret police, commissars, political crimes. We're going to break big news later in the broadcast about Starbucks and what's behind all this stuff. This is the plan. And that's why England's so important. The Magna Carta, and then everything we have here grew in common law out of that. They had parliamentary votes where most of the British were for us not being able to be under the crown because it was being oppressive. Then the king came and addressed Parliament, and they voted for the war. We think of like England as the enemy when we came from England. And now that basic system has fallen to classical tyranny. A decade after they predicted it would happen, or 16, 17, 18 years after they predicted it, it's now unfolded. I guess it's already 20 years after. And so Godfrey Bloom is our guest, historian, former member of the EU Parliament. He was getting into the basics, and now it's devolved, and this authoritarianism is merging nicely with Sharia law and political correctness. And this has really got people to wake up, though, these images of these demonstrations and not reporting on what's happened and all the other things. You were saying, when you talked to the producer, that that's going to break the dam towards people being aware of some of the other political prisoners, Mr. Bloom?
Yeah, indeed it is. Robinson isn't the only one, of course. There's another major one over here, Melanie Shaw. But she blew the whistle on sex abuse by senior members, politicians and policemen and so on and so forth in Nottingham. And as soon as she blew the whistle, she was hustled away. She's now in solitary confinement and sedated in Peterborough.
All right,
God. What she did was blow the whistle on these things.
Godfrey, you're over in the UK. Your Skype's a bit hiccupy right now. Tell us the name of the lady again and start over.
Melanie Shaw, who was a whistleblower on the problems that the sexual abuse case, it was a sexual abuse case in Nottingham. She blew the whistle on it. She was in a home, an orphan's home. She blew the whistle, and now she's sedated in solitary confinement in Peterborough prison.
Well, I used the term commissar when you said political crimes, but that was their specialty in the old Soviet Union, wasn't it? Drugging you? Wasn't that their specialty, Godfrey Bloom, in the old Soviet Union, would be grabbing people and drugging them?
Well, yes, indeed it is. We've also abandoned teaching children about the principles of English law in school. This is how the state gets away with it. It's just the same in America. If you grow up a generation, or now with the second generation, who has no knowledge about the principles of English law, it's very easy to take it away from them. Let me give you an analogy, if I may, Alex.
Please.
I found a gold, and I found a gold watch in a drawer in your house, which you'd forgotten you had, and I stole it, it would be years before A, you realized it had gone, and B, who could possibly have stolen it? It would be impossible. So this is what they do. They make sure that people don't know what their historical rights are in law, and it makes them easier to take away. And of course, what you get then is a very frustrated populace, which we have at the moment, who don't really understand what Tommy Robinson's done. They don't understand what Melanie Shaw has done, and these other people. And as it comes out, people are now beginning to realize just how far down the path to a totalitarian state we've gone.
Incredible. Yeah, there's the article. Child abuse witness held in Peterborough prison, drugged, key whistleblower. Unbelievable. And I'm told that's why they're coming after me, is exposing the pedophilia. And I've been told if I don't shut up, if I don't stop funding investigators, that I'm going to basically be executed. Well, whatever then. Somebody's got to stand up for these children. It's not heroics. It's basic instinct. But as you said, English common law is the basis of our law here. It's being stolen there. It's being stolen here. We're just a few years, 3 or 4 or 5 years behind you. In some areas already just as bad. And if you don't know you have a freedom, it can be stolen much easier. People are having their birthrights stolen. And as a great teaching moment, they're teaching you we can secretly arrest Tommy Robinson, put him in a prison, and then order the media not to report on it. That is just incredible.
Yes, and I think we don't know, do we, how many other people have been arrested that we don't know about because they didn't have a political profile. And you can go right back. I don't know whether you remember the shooting in Dunblane, the mass shooting in Dunblane.
Yes.
There was a massive inquiry into that about 2 decades ago. And that overturned a very big paedophile ring. And that was closed down. There have been books on it. Why was it all closed down? The whole investigation was closed down, and the whispers were some very senior government ministers were involved. And of course, if you look at, I'm not allowed to speak about certain things here, but if you drill down on some of the things coming out, and some extraordinary people involved in all this.
That's right. There it is. A big political cover-up, 1980s pedophile ring, Washington Post in UK Parliament. But that was the old Washington Post before Jeff Bezos bought it. You won't be hearing about that anymore. And historically, we saw this in Rome. We saw this in other areas. They would use pedophile rings to compromise and control people, because pretty much every culture would not put up with buggering children. And so really this is the evil thing that welds all of these networks together. We know the EU has unbelievable giant pedophile schemes, Satanism, little kids in cages found dead in the Netherlands. I mean, this all comes out but then gets shut down. And then here you are, famous, a member of EU Parliament, you name it, and you can't even talk about it because they've put D notices in now on the citizens not to talk about it. That is incredible, Godfrey Bloom.
Yes, and of course the mainstream media go along with it. But what you've got to understand is that the BBC is a state broadcaster. The governor of the BBC, the trustees are all selected by government. Channel 4 is a publicly owned company. You can't broadcast on Sky TV, for example, without a license. So all mainstream media is very tightly controlled by the government. And it begs the question, does it not? I was talking to a colleague about this earlier on today. There seems to be a disproportionate amount of pedophiles in the political system, and one wonders, does one not, whether politics actually attracts these weird people. Most politicians, to me, I don't know about you over there, but they all seem weird. They're weird people. They don't have any friends. They didn't play team sports when they were at college. They're all weird people. I think perhaps this predilection for children, or kiddie fiddling as we call it over here, is perhaps in the political side.
When I come back, you're a well-known historian and obviously worked in Parliament at the EU, so you understand what's happening. I think these people are attractive, but then they set up organizations of compromise through intelligence agencies. Cheating on your wife isn't enough to compromise you now. Your wife in modern times might want to join in. So now it's got to be the kids to compromise people. It's not enough to be gay. And so it's a rite of passage from my research into many of these satanic, corrupt networks to do really bad things to become a made member of the gang. We'll talk to Godfrey Bloom for 5 more minutes when we come back. GodfreyBloom.uk. You can also follow him on Twitter. We'll put that on screen. That's Godders Bloom, at Godders Bloom on Twitter. Now, we are running free shipping on all of our best-selling items for the week of Memorial Day. Memorial Week sales right now, running throughout the week. These are some of the biggest sales we've ever offered, like the high-quality, non-GMO heirloom seeds. Some of those are discounted 50%. We've got the super high-quality storable food, 50% off and free shipping. That's huge on the food because a lot of the cost is the shipping. So 50% off of the storable food and on the 3-month, 6-month, 1 month. And the free shipping, that's huge. X2, the good halogen, 50% off with BioTrue Selenium. Brain Force, an amazing nootropic, 50% off with free shipping. I can't go over it all. It'll take 20 minutes to do. These are big sales, and they help you and your family get great products while funding an institution, InfoWars, that is under sustained attack by these very child-fiddling networks. We are going on to the end no matter what happens. We've only begun to fight. Stay with us. This is the syndicated radio broadcast that turned into a TV broadcast 15 years ago. Been on the air 23 years, and let me tell you, I've seen the whole world change. The globalists, the evil forces are on the run, but their counterstrike is serious authoritarianism against anybody that sticks their head up too high in an attempt to intimidate people. Godfrey Bloom, you were, as a historian, not just a former member of the EU Parliament, one of the leaders of Brexit, getting into the proclivity, the high concentration in some of these elite circles of pedophilia. And you heard me get into the fact that, from my sources, they're using it to compromise folks. Even people that don't want to do it are like told to get into it, or they're not in the club. What's your intel on that, and other ways to turn the tide against this?
Well, it's the one thing that an accusation of you can't bounce back from. If the cat gets out of the bag, as you rightly said, Alex, if it's just straightforward embezzlement, or it's fraud, or it's or it's adultery, anything goes in politics these days. But this is something you can't bounce back from. So if it's paedophilia, it's very, very difficult to get out of. So it's a huge blackmail hole over people. But of course, the other problem that we have is that these blasphemy laws and the laws that all go with this are only one-sided. And so it's only one section of the community that suffers from these sort of things, and it's the indigenous population.
And this is what is making people so angry. You can criticize Christianity as much as you like, but if you criticize Islam, you go to prison. This isn't a blasphemy act that's equal. This is a one-sided blasphemy act, and we got rid of the concept of blasphemy in 1688 with the Toleration Acts. We've gone back hundreds of years now because the one side control the shots. In the same way, one might argue that up until the Toleration Acts, it was the other side. In Northern Europe, it was the Protestants that controlled it, and in Southern Europe, it was the Catholics that controlled it. But we have this quite extraordinary situation at the moment where we've gone back to thought police. You know, if you have a bad thought, somebody's only got to complain that they're offended. If you criticize them for their sexual predilections or their faith, their religious faith, a criticism means that you can get arrested for that. So that actually closes down free speech of any sort. And that's the whole basis for the British way of life, and indeed the American way of life, is free speech. And that's gone. And I've been doing podcasts on this now for nearly 6 months. And I've been leading up to this. This is a natural, this Tommy Robinson thing and this Melanie Shaw thing are a natural progression of this.
Well said, but seeing demonstrations pop up all over the world and seeing the anger, I think people are starting to wake up. I mean, you see the populism, the nationalism, you see Italy about to explode. I mean, I really think that the globalists are in trouble. Again, Godfrey Bloom has been our guest. His Skype's been hiccuping, but we'll use that as a point to go. He's really a smart guy. I'm going to try to get him with a better internet connection because I want him to be a contributor and join us a lot more often because he really knows his stuff. Godfrey, I see your Skype's back. We got about 30 seconds. Again, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a great pleasure. Sorry about the connection. Don't know quite why. It's been perfect in the last few weeks.
Well, we'll see what's going on. God bless you. You did a great job. Really, really, really amazing points. Thank you. Again, folks, we're going to come back now and get into the left's coordinated attack worldwide to end free speech and how once that goes, everything else goes. So they've been attacking the Second Amendment with lawsuits. Now they're attacking the First Amendment with them. And we need Congress, we need the president to move with laws to shield the First Amendment in this country. We need to break up the big tech giants that are the heart of this anti-American activity.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Our team is always looking for new ways to improve our products. That's why we've created the newest version of a fan-favorite formula, the Real Red Pill Plus. The Real Red Pill Plus contains the powerful pregnenolone formula, now with an added energy boost. Now, you can support your heart, brain, and aging process with an added natural energy boost. The proprietary energy blend includes powerful ingredients like green tea extract, yerba mate leaf extract, and more. Paired with the powerful ingredients in the original Real Red Pill formula, the Real Red Pill has just what you need to support your body while getting the pick-me-up to get you through the day. The Real Red Pill Plus is a powerful investment into the future of your mind and body. Don't miss out on the all-new upgrade to your favorite product. Head to InfoWarsStore.com and get the Real Red Pill Plus today. Get Real Red Pill Plus now at 50% off.